So Cincinnati Mills, Forest Fair Village, Cincinnati Mall, Malls at Forest Fair Mall. This mall's had many names over its lifetime, and honestly was never really successful as a mall. It just never took off due to competition in the area being over malled. So this mall has been talked about numerous times on various YouTube videos. There's so many videos out there, but I had this footage from 2021 and I wanted to share it, and also some videos. Please ignore during this video. There is a section of video that I can't get to turn vertical. Whenever I tried to snip it out and get it to turn vertical, it kept corrupting it, so just ignore that. But again, I wanted to tell my story, my version of Cincinnati Mills. So it is located at the junction of Interstate 275 and Winton Road, and the border between Forest Park and Fairfield, in the suburbs of Cincinnati, Ohio. When it was built in 1988, it was supposed to be a high-end mall. The L.J. Hooker Corporation that developed it, he wanted it to be a high-end mall. And, well, this area just simply is not high-end. It's more of a middle-class area. Plus, the area already had two successful malls nearby. We had the Northgate Mall and the now closed Tri-County Mall. And Northgate Mall, honestly, right now is on its last leg as we speak. But this mall, Forest Fair, just never really took off and did good. So it was the second biggest mall in the state at one time before it closed. And it opened in 1988 and already started going through renovations in the mid-1990s, which attracted some new stores. The most notable change that happened was the Mills Corp bought this mall in 2002, renamed it to Cincinnati Mills, and renovated the mall once more by August 2004. And then that is the look that you will see in this video, is the Mills look, where they really put their label on it and all that cool, what I think is cool Mills theming. But it would be nice to still see that original L.J. Hooker design. But that's been pretty much stripped away, unfortunately. So you're left with the Mills theming, which I think it's pretty whimsical and cool, but still, the original aesthetic would have been great. So even at that point in time, when it was sold, still wasn't doing that great. It continued to lose tenants. It was renamed to Cincinnati Mall, and again the Forest Fair Village in the 2010s. Once the Mills portfolio was sold to Simon, Simon sold it off, and it was sold several times afterwards. And it just continued to decline, finally closing to the public on December 2nd of 2022. I believe the fire department code enforcement made them close. At that time, there were 3 tenants, I believe. Well, the last one had just left inside, which was Arcade Legacy, I do believe. And then Kohl's and Bass Pro both just had exterior entrances. They had long walled off the interior access from the mall. Which normally, when it seems like when chain stores wall off that interior access, that definitely shows a dying mall. In just 1989, literally the year after opening, L.J. Hooker put the mall up for sale after bankruptcy because it accrued a lot of debt due to expansion in the U.S. And they asked $200 million, but here's the funny thing. Only 65% of the inline mall space was occupied. And it never got to 100%. Basically, the proximity to those other 2 malls were cited as a lot of the struggle. And Tri-County expanded, basically not long after Forest Fair opened. So, also L.J. Hooker had to basically bring in his own store, so to speak. that were first to the market, but they were again those higher price stores, which just didn't fit well with the area's more blue collar, more working class demographics. But basically, the mall was sold, and then it became known as the Malls at Forest Fair in 1992. And then it came up with the concept that each wing would focus on a different theme of shopping. You had the fashions at Forest Fair, the lifestyles, the markets, and the festival. And also in the mall you had like a Super Saver cinema and even music video stores, entertainment. The mall was put up for sale again in 95 though, and it was purchased in 1996, and again a lot more store changes, different things happened, and again in the 90s there was a new second renovation which attracted some new tenants, but then more lower tier tenants moved in, so to say. You had Steve & Barry's, you had Burlington, Steinmart, Showcase Cinemas came in at that time, and even a nightclub to help revitalize the mall were added to it. So that's something you don't really see at malls. And that to me, So, again, in 2002, that is when the Milcorp bought the mall. And what you see in this video is how the Milcorp renovated it. Different themed decor for each wing of the mall, which was typical of the Mills Corporation. And that was another $70 million renovation. Like, goodness, like so much money has been sunk into this mall. So by this time the mall was focused more on discount stores and amenities suitable for families, which is more of the Mills concept, was more like an outlet. And in January 2005 the mall actually reached 90% occupancy, which to my research and knowledge is the highest it has ever gotten to, because in 2006 it began to slump again and it just went downhill from there. And also continued to the decline again with competition with Northgate and Tri-County, and the fact that again it was in a middle class area. When Simon bought it in 2007, it was acquired shortly thereafter from North Star to North Star Realty in early 2009, and they wanted to convert portions of the mall to office space, call centers, other non-retail uses, and that's when they renamed it to Cincinnati Mall. And a lot of the outlet stores actually decided then to relocate to a newly built outlet mall in Monroe, which is a Cincinnati Premium Outlets, which to this day is still thriving, still successful, still doing good. And also, some property owners had fallen delinquent on property taxes. Cincinnati Holding Company purchased it in 2010, and the Showcase Cinema closed. There was other plans, like ice skating rinks, that were put into tuition, but honestly at this point in time nothing more was ever really done with the mall. Sold a couple times. There really wasn't anything going on in the mall, and the fact that it was dead for so long and you could just go explore it was pretty crazy. So this was just famous as a dead mall that was open, because for years Kohl's, Bass Pro, and the arcade and maybe a gym or children's entertainment center were the only things open. To me, it's crazy. But they started receiving, code violations, which finally ended in the mall being finally shuttered. Upon my visit, I was able to see, you could see several leaks on the roof. Parking garage was closed off. The parking lot was in awful, god awful shape, and you could just tell that it just wasn't taken care of at all. But at the same time, it kind of was, in the fact that the bathrooms were open and it wasn't absurdly dirty in the mall. It just was just weird. But current plans call for demolition of the mall. Nothing is there. Bass Pro and Kohl's have left since then. Even though they were allowed to stay open because they had exterior entrances and maintained their own buildings. But yeah, there's nothing there now, and it's supposed to be demolished for future development. So, hopefully that development does come to fruition. Something can be done with this site, because it is sad what became of it, but it really is an eyesore, and something could be better used with the property. And this is by far my favorite abandoned or dead mall that I have explored, because at the time it was open, but just didn't feel open at all. So have you been here? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And thank you so much for watching.